Hi everyone, welcome to the call. We've just joined together with some of the co-authors here so that we can answer a few questions and just give a bit of feedback about what it was like writing our chapters in the book. So we've got a few of us here today. Hi everyone, are you all feeling okay? All happy? You good?
Hey Emma, hey
Yeah.
everybody.
Hi.
Good
Doing
to
well,
see you all
thank you.
Amazing.
again.
Good to see you all. Okay, so I'm going to jump straight in. So my first question that I wanted to ask was, how did you feel when you were writing your chapter about what you were sharing? So let's start with Marcella on this one.
Well, I have written by now 6 books, and there's still a few to loud. So this was a very specific one because I never have been given a theme. I always had the freedom to choose what I want to write about. So thinking about resilience, it felt to me that I had to do like an inner work and revisiting since my childhood, different times of my life where I felt resilience was there and would be a story that is relatable to women in business. So I was like very carefully trying to think on a process that I could put together in a way that the story also would flow and would take people on a journey. And I'm so happy that I managed to do that. And the book is there now to inspire everyone that is starting a business, that have any doubt about themselves, and always remember to believe in you, trust on your instincts, and you are the best person to be in charge of your dreams. So don't let they go. Don't let anyone tell you how you should or not do anything in your life. The resilience, the power, it's all there within you. You just need to learn to tap into it.
I love that. That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Jennifer, anything to add on that one?
Yeah, I think for me, it was a way of giving voice on paper to the thoughts that had been going on in my head. The whole of last year, I think I did a lot of talking to myself, and it was really needed because running the business is hard. And I think for me, the most critical thing about last year that I hold on to is having a community and different types of community when running a business. Because when it comes to resilience, nobody's an island. You're going to need to tap into other people's energy in order to propel you. Some of these energies, I have to say, sometimes mean well. They tell you don't do it. Isn't it time you take direction? But I think you need to be very convinced and convicted about why you went into the business in the first place, because challenges may come. And I felt that I was giving a voice to other people that may be starting their journey, that perhaps may be going through the same kind of feeling, because I don't believe I was unique in that sense, or anybody has who had ever started a journey had not gone through some of the challenges that I had gone through last year. It was hard, I'm not going to lie. And I just want to encourage people, and hence the reason why I was so empowered to write my chapter.
Yeah, I love that as well. Karen, I'm going to come to you in just a second. Just before I do, one thing just to for anybody who's watching this video, in case you're not 100% sure which book we're talking about, it's this Can't Break Me, Queens in Business. So we're 7 of the 16, I believe, all co-authors within this book, and we're all sharing a story about our business journey and something that's affected us. And we've all got different themes. So, it might be worth anyone going forward, just if you just even introduce the name of your chapter, we've all got a title chapter. It might be helpful. And then I'll come back to Marcella and Jennifer at some point as well, in case they want to add anything to any of the questions, so they can just explain a little bit more. But Karen, jumping over to you. So same question. How did you feel when writing your chapter about what you were sharing?
Yeah, for me, I was very nervous. Being new in business, I'm just 2 years into my journey, and my chapter was, "Are we there yet?" It reminded me of, because I was looking into the story I told, was finding my dad. He hadn't been in my life for 24 years. So this is where I took my story from, the resilience that I needed for that. This was before I'd even started my business journey. So for me, the resilience that I was coming across brick walls all the time. I was living in Scotland, my dad was in England. So I had the position where it was all on phone calls. 4 weeks later, I was actually speaking to my dad on the phone, having not spoken to him in 24 years. So this is where I came at it from that angle, because as I say, I'm new to business, so I'm still in the learning process. So being part of this book has been absolute, I feel it's a total honor and a privilege for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. It just shows like we've got such a mixture of stories, and in anyone that's thinking about buying it, you won't believe the journey it will take you on. Everyone's story, whether it's 2 years, I'm 5 years in business. Everyone's got a different length, but the stories, they all sort of link up in some strange way, based on everyone going through similar things. So next question then. What was the main reason you decided to share your story and get involved? I'm going to aim that one at Charlotte and hear from her next.
So my main reason for sharing my story was to show that it had taken me so many years of so many traumas during my lifetime, with my children, with my career, with my husband. And despite all the trials and tribulations that I went through, I can look back now and realise that after doing all my coaching and my NLP and all my trainings I've done, that actually I have a lot to offer to society. And I always used to put myself down and think I couldn't do anything, I was no good, that I wasn't clever. I'd been told that all my life, on my formative years. So I really came into my having family and moving and working, thinking that, well, nobody's going to take any notice of me, nobody cares about me, nobody matters about, you know, what nobody thinks about what I've been through, and it doesn't really matter. But when I look back now and I realise it's a whole story of different threads, showing that actually you can go through a lot of trauma and come out the other side in a positive, resilient way. I've built up so much resilience, and it just shows that anybody can do this. Anyone can get through all the difficult times and come out positive at the end of it. And I feel I've got so much to offer now. I love what I do. I'm really enthusiastic and keen to help other women through everything. So that was really what was my reason was for sharing my story.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I'll jump in as well on that one. I think one of the things I wanted to share was really what I discovered about myself when I wrote the chapter. And actually, it links really closely to what you've just shared there. I think at the time when I wrote mine, so mine's about how I doubled the turnover during the global pandemic, and everything that could go wrong. You know, I got campaigns. We're a marketing agency. I'd got campaigns going into schools, into airlines, like everything that just stopped. You know, it really affected all of the work that we're doing for our clients. But just jumping on your point there, it was I think I was surprised myself that at the time it seemed like the worst thing in the world. Every single obstacle that came, I had to overcome it. And now actually, you know, we're 2 years on again, and there's more bigger, scarier things happening, and I'm still having to overcome them. But I think it's the lesson there that you're able just to keep pushing and getting over these obstacles. So yeah, really similar experience, I suppose, with writing mine, Charlotte. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. Okay, so Vanessa, how about you? What are your thoughts on that question? So just to remind everybody, it's about what are you hoping your readers get out of your chapter?
Well, hi everybody. I wrote the chapter that was Defying the Odds and Walking to the Beat of Your Own Drum. And the theme of resilience that is a golden thread throughout the whole book. I hope that that's what people pick up from the whole of the book. Following on from what Jennifer was saying, just keep going. And what Charlotte was saying, that everybody can overcome their challenges, even when you feel like your face is on the ground. You know, you just have to get up one more time than you've fallen down, and then you can take those courageous steps going forward. So I hope people get from my chapter and the rest of the book that you've got to keep going, even if it feels like everything is against you. You know, you find a group of people that are your cheerleaders and also your critical friends that will tell you like it is, but will do it in a nice, comfortable way, in a nice, safe way, but they won't, you know, soft soap it. But that's really good, because I've got a fantastic accountability group that I met in the lockdown, and they're like my sisters now. So I feel like getting people that you trust, even when you feel like you can't trust other people around you, is really important. But I hope that people get up one more time than you fall down, just one more time, and take those steps going forward. I hope that's what people get from my chapter.
Amazing. Has anybody else got anything they'd like to jump in and add on that question? So, you know, what are you hoping our readers get out of your chapter? Anyone I've not heard from yet want to jump in?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in here. My story is all about my experiences when I was fairly young in my career with a leader who was my boss, who was actually quite very, very toxic, and it actually it was very, very difficult. And you do the kind of thing. So I kind of buried it all and kind of like just moved on and kind of carried on. But when the whole Me Too movement kind of rose, it triggered something in me. And I'd realized that I had so much in the way of unresolved issues from when I was experiencing that really toxic environment, which was really, really, really difficult. It kind of started in one place, and it ended up because I had not wanted to, you know, I wasn't kind of bending to my boss's kind of wants, I suppose, had made it a very, very difficult place to work. The Me Too movement kind of sparked something, and the story came out. But what I did was I'm very much wanting to share my story now, because I think leadership, and when you're in a position of power, it is so important that you're actually the right role model, and that you actually demonstrate all the right behaviors to you know, encourage the people that you work with, to encourage and to bring out their strengths and their talents. And you can quite easily stifle that talent by saying something or doing something that is actually not particularly healthy or particularly productive, and it can really stifle young talent. And that's really where I'm at. My chapter is about how I realize that actually those behaviors, if they're not dealt with, can actually perpetuate, and we need to actually break that cycle. And so the chapter for me was really important to be written. It came about because I'm actually writing another book, and the Queens in Business people actually asked me to put it into this book, because they felt that it kind of, because the theme is on resilience, it's you know, us. Not everyone is going to be a business owner. Sometimes you can be within your own businesses, but because you're a leader, it's down to you to actually help that business grow, and for you to show and be a role model to the people around you. So there is a slightly different angle in terms of my story. But yeah, it was important for me to write it, because I wanted to share my story and to keep the freshness around Me Too, which is kind of a couple of years ago, but actually I think the messages from Me Too are still resonating today, and I think we still need to keep them top of mind at all times.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I love that. That's a really nice, sort of nicely put. And I think with everybody on this call, just so that anyone that's watching it can get a real flavour of who we are and how long we've been in business, by show of hands, put your hand up if your business is less than 1 year old. Okay, so less than one, Marcella, so yours is less than one. Anybody that's you know, between the 1 and 3 years old mark, just raise your hand. Yeah. So 3 of us. Vanessa was unsure, nearly there. Yeah, 3 to 5 years. So I'm in that bracket. And anyone over 5 years. So yeah, your hand's just off, but we saw you move there. So yeah, we've got a real variety on here, and I think it's really important for people to see. And like, just again, just by show of hands, who's targeting business to business? So yeah, I can't see all hands. Put it close to your face if anyone's got your hands up. Yeah, okay, perfect. And then business to consumer, I'm assuming Charlotte and Karen, yeah, and Marcella, yeah, so perfect. So we have got a real mixture here. And I think one thing I'll just say is that before we all run our own businesses, but anybody watching this, you might, like Jim said, you might be a leader in your business rather than the owner. And I think growing through my career, I lived for these books. This is what got me to a point where I wanted to start my own business. These inspiring stories from different people, and all the business books. Like my mum used to say, you know, Emma, read a novel. Stop just reading business books, you know, read a novel as well. And I'm sure there's a lot of nods on here. Feel free to unmute yourselves and jump in. But I'm sure you'll have gone on that same journey, and now you're here and you're running your own business. And I think if you could sort of say one thing to a reader or a listener or somebody who's either just new starting in business or thinking of starting a business or having challenges in their own growth in their own career and they want to try something different, if you could give them one piece of advice, I'm just going to go around, feel free to sort of you know, put your hand up and jump in. What would you give our readers before we wrap this up?
Don't give up.
Don't give
It's
up.
going to
Yeah.
be tough. It's going to be tough, and I think it's I think we should all recognise that it is going to be tough, but actually the rewards, if you push through, can be quite immense as well. So yeah, you just need to find it in yourself. You know you've got strength there. To make a decision to go into business in the first place is a huge
Yeah.
step forward. It's such incredibly brave. So you know it's coming from somewhere. You just got to use that, latch onto it, and just take it to the next level. So hold on. It's going to be bumpy, but you'll get there.
Yeah,
I would
no,
always,
that's-
I would like to just say that it's really important to look for support. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who will give you the support you need. And don't just give up at the slightest thing. Keep going, because you can do it.
yeah, no, definitely. Marcella, any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I actually shared some of this story on my book. My case is slightly different because I started actually with a business within the family, and once upon a time there was a fire incident and nearly 400 shops was literally just burned out. And my trauma watching, you know, one of our shops in flame was, on that moment I created a belief, going through all of that healing process and rebuilding the business itself, is that I was really good in making money for other people. And within that, one of the careers path that life has took me, I used to work for a lab here in the UK, where I was project managing successful projects that have supported, I would say, thousands and thousands of business, have helped, you know, the economy to boost. They safeguarding jobs, they generate jobs. And what I have noticed within that journey is that it was amazing to be able to support all of the business people, but I wanted to be able to work with the real person that was behind the business too. And this is where I started on my own journey. So what I have learned from all of that is, if you believe that something, it will be worth it, surround yourself from a supportive group that can help you with the brainstorm, all of the ideas, help you to be able to see what your passion is not allowing you to see. Because sometimes we get so involved in all of the brilliant ideas that we have, and we forget some minimal details that, as a business owner, that is going to make a huge difference if you miss those little steps. So
Yeah.
supportive network, make sure that you are aware of all the legalities that are involved and have your own business, and don't feel overwhelmed. Just go with the flow, believing on you, on your journey, and learn, have fun, be playful. Don't just take things so serious. And it does take a time for you to build whatever you would like to, but it's you that had the first intention to build that little empire, and it will need to be you always in charge of that. As more as we would love to leverage things, we also know what we want to achieve. So your energy, your essence, your inputs are always would be relevant to whatever you decide to do, whatever's the destination that you would love your business to flow. So
Yeah.
always make sure there is lots of self-care and quality time for yourself, so you can find a balance to be focused and have beautiful and creative ideas to carry on, just unleashing and thrive whatever you decide to do.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's brilliant. Karen or Vanessa, maybe Vanessa, jump in first, and then we'll go to Karen next.
Yeah, I love this question. I think it's a really lovely question to give advice to people of who want to go forward in business or otherwise. I think it all starts with you first, and that's why my quote at the beginning of my chapter, you don't get what you want, you get what you believe. It is so important. If you don't believe that it's possible, then it's not possible. It won't happen. So you have to start with that belief in yourself, get majorly clear, such crystal clear clarity on what it is that matters to you. And then when you have that, it makes so much, everything else becomes a lot easier. When you've got that clarity, you know where you're going. I agree with everybody. It is very, very hard to do this, but it's so much easier. And the ease and joy that comes in when you really, truly know what you want and what you believe.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I think there's even a quote. I was just trying to Google double check I was right, but I think there's a quote that says whether you believe you can or whether you believe you
Yes.
can't, you're absolutely
You are
right. And I
right.
think that
Yeah.
summarizes your point. Lovely there. So Karen, what about you? What would your one key bit of advice be to anybody early days or within a business? They don't have to be early days, 10 years in, but struggling. What would you give them as an advice?
I'd definitely say getting out your comfort zone. When I first heard about it, I thought, why would anybody want to do that? Live out their comfort zone. But now I'm living out of my comfort zone all the time. If I get comfortable, it's like, no, I need to progress because I'm not moving if I'm sat in my comfortable position. So I know getting out the comfort zone is a definite go-to for me. So for anybody else looking into it, yes, it will be uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, the rewards will be well worth that uncomfortableness. If uncomfortableness is a word, I think I've just made that up. Definitely living out your comfort zone.
It is very
Yeah.
true.
There should be a book written just about that word, I think.
Yeah, I think so. There you go. There's your next book, Karen.
Love it.
Jennifer, what about you?
I think, first of all, I would say define what your race is in the business and run your own race.
Yeah.
Don't be influenced by other people's achievement on social media. Be kind to yourself because you will make mistakes. Don't give yourself a hard time, but celebrate your wins, however small they may be. And don't buy into, you make X amount of money in 90 days. It is not true. That's what I believe. Being in business is a long road, and you have to be prepared to work harder than you have ever worked before.
Yeah.
Don't quit. It will get hard. The harder it gets, just keep pushing on. And from what everybody's saying, community is so important. Build yourself a trusted community. You may even have more than one. I have more than one. I have a spiritual community. I have business communities. I just have a network of people that sometimes I don't even need to say anything. Just being here alone is enough to give me that energy because I'm tapping into all of your energy. So identify that community and tell yourself you're good enough, because you will have moments where you feel you're not, but you are. That's the voice trying to get you to give up. Recognize it and rise above it. That's the best advice I can give.
I love that. And I think, I've just sort of scribbled down a note on that, and I'll just recap some of your really amazing points in a second for everybody before we wrap up. But I think one thing that I've learned about this, I'm nearly 5 years in now, and I think the view from the people on the outside is very different from the view that you've got on the inside. Your friends and family, they're looking, in my case, obviously with the pandemic and the growth, and year on year we're growing. People are looking in and they're thinking, wow, she's smashing it. Her business is flying. She's doing right. She's got a team. She's got this. She's got that. But what they don't see is the long hours that I've had to put in, the tears that I cried during the pandemic, the difficult decisions I had to make. My chapter is all about 6 valuable lessons I learned in that early stage of business, which will hopefully resonate with a lot of readers. But that was a really nice link into what you were saying there, Jennifer. Like, people run at your own pace, like run your own race is really key. Don't compare yourself to other people if you've set a goal. So I made a couple of points down that I would like to share. So I think having a plan and having a strategy, even if you don't stick to it, but even if you just have one thing you want to achieve each year, even if whether it's to do with like having a new website done, or whether it's to do with getting X number of new clients, if you have that plan and strategy is a really key one. Another point that I'd put in for the sensible heads out there, it might be that you might want to get some funds behind you first. Like when I started the business, I had 10 grand in the bank, and I knew that I was prepared to do whatever it took to get this off the ground. If I didn't earn anything for 5 months, it was okay because I got some funds there. So if you are that way inclined and you're not doing it on the side, but you want to just go all in, get your funds in place first, would be some advice that I'd give. I think it links actually there. Everyone's story is different, but the end goal is the same. And they're my main sort of extra points that I'd put in. But just to reiterate some of everyone else's points here, get out of your comfort zone was a really nice one there. Get back up was said earlier, way earlier in this call. I think that's definitely my story. I feel like every time I got a little kick in and I was down, I had to just get back up. Run Your Own Race, obviously, was one that was just said. But yeah, there's some really, really lovely, hopefully very helpful, valuable advice there from 7 real business owners that have just gone through being really open and transparent. And our stories, they go deeper than I think. I mean, I've never shared some of the stuff that's in my story. It's the first time I've shared some of it, and there's a lot of nods. So I think you've got a real opportunity, if you're interested in getting this book, to see 16 different stories. And like, we've only got 7 of us here today. Just imagine how much extra value would have come if there was a few more of us able to join the call. But we're all busy business owners, so we've just had to crack on. So as we're wrapping up, then just one last point. I think Jennifer's got a hand up quickly before I just remind you of the book. Jennifer?
I think I want to say that even if you're not in business, this is still a book for you, because there are inspirational stories in that book that is still relevant, regardless of whether you're running your own business or not. So please just get a book and be inspired.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's like, it goes back to my earlier point. It was reading these books that made me want to start my own business. And I think if you're in that space, or you're doing really well in your career, but you want your own empire, like Marcella said earlier, like, have a read of this book. You know, I think it's either 10, 11 or 12 pound on Amazon. We had a deal for the first few days, but it's probably around 11 pound now. Can't Break Me. It's Queens in Business. It's one of a series. This is the latest. It went to bestseller status within 24 hours. And our job is really just to keep talking about it and hopefully sharing some of the wisdom, and hopefully, I mean, I think even if I just find the last bit of my chapter, it might summarize this very nicely. Where is it? My chapter is dedicated to my incredible family who have supported me every step of the way, and to you, the reader, whose journey may only just be beginning. I hope it becomes the best story you ever tell. So, if you read this book and you go on your journey, it could be you in 2, 3, 5, 10 years time, writing a story that's helping someone else that's where you are now. So with that, I'll end it here. Thank you to all of you for joining today. It's been really nice to hear some of your feelings and thoughts on writing the chapter, and hopefully anyone who's watching it, feel free to comment or get in touch with us direct. I'll tag everybody in this post so you can see who everybody is and go and explore and ask them any questions you want to know about their chapter. But thanks a lot, everybody. Good to see you, and I'll see you soon.
See you guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.